Anne is a 32-year-old airline attendant that has recently found herself having panic attacks aboard the plane that she works on. She was taken to a medical doctor, and there is no medical condition, and so her work has sent her to a behavioral, mental health specialist to try to get her anxiety under control, or she has the risk of losing her job. She's going to be meeting with me, and I'm going to be doing some CBT with some motivational questions. Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
Okay, so I know that we talked last time. We kind of did the assessment. We set some goals, talked about a little bit about what we are going to work on. So if you don't mind, we'll just go ahead and get started. So I want to start off by you telling me some of the benefits you would gain from getting some of your anxiety to a manageable level.
Well, right now my biggest concern is losing my job. So I think the biggest benefit would be being able to keep my job, enjoy my job, and not be fearful of getting back on that plane.
Okay, so there are some benefits to getting this under control because you are facing some consequences if we aren't able to learn some skills.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and talk about some of the events that happen and where that anxiety kind of starts spiraling. So go ahead and tell me about the event that kind of sparks your anxiety.
Well, it's interesting because I'd never really had this issue. I've been a plane attendant for several years, and don't know what was different about that day. But I got my stuff together, had everything ready, and I grabbed my bag and I got on the plane, and we were getting ready to take off, and we got in the air, and everything was fine. And all of a sudden, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack, and it was very scary because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm 32. I'm like, why should I be having a heart attack right now?
Right.
Anyway, so I'm just, holding my chest, and everybody's around me, and everything just kind of blurred out, and it was just a very, very traumatic, very scary experience for me. So what happened was they actually emergency landed the plane because they weren't sure what was going on either because they'd never seen this from me. And they advised that I go to a medical doctor, and they did end up just taking me to the emergency room. And the doctor said, no, it's not a heart attack. It looks like you had an anxiety attack. I'm thinking, anxiety attack, really? But then I started thinking about it, and when I was younger, I kind of had those types of symptoms, but they never showed up again, when I got older. So he prescribed me some Xanax and some antidepressants and all this stuff, and I just did not like the way they made me feel. And my employer was kind of like, well, if you're not going to take those, you probably need to get into some therapy.
Right.
So I'm here, and hopefully you can help me with some behaviors or something different that I can do to help deal with the anxiety when I get on the plane.
Well, what we kind of talked about last time a little bit is trying to replace some of the thoughts that you're having with, and so that these can improve kind of your coping skills, your cognition, which is what you're thinking when you can feel that panic beginning to set in. So let's for a minute go back to that day. The event is you're in the plane and you can feel it start. You can feel that panic start coming on. Tell me about some of the emotions that you're feeling.
When the panic is happening?
Right when it's starting to set on. Just kind of build it up and tell me what's going on.
Well, I notice I do start to sweat. My stomach starts kind of feeling like it's got something inside of it just rolling around. I get a lot of pressure in my chest, and emotionally I do start kind of freaking out and losing control of, I can't calm myself down.
Okay.
I can't say, okay, I just can't do it.
Okay.
And it's very frustrating to me.
So what are some of the thoughts that are going on in your head? Some of your self-talk that's going on in your head?
I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm going to lose my job. I'm never going to be able to get on a plane again. And then I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. I'm going to lose my car. It could be devastating for me if I lost this job.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I bet that is terrifying in that moment, all that going through your head. Tell me how you react. What happens when that starts going through your mind?
Basically, I just kind of feel like I lose control of my body. Like, all this is happening and I can't grasp it back to reality. and everything like just kind of goes to a blur, and people are trying to talk to me and I don't know what they're saying, and it's just like I want everybody to get away from me, but at the same time I don't know how to help myself either. So I'm just kind of confused, really.
Right.
Frustrated with the situation.
Kind of getting wrapped up in it all, and
Yeah.
it's really happening fast. So kind of one of the goals that we talked about is kind of replacing some of that talk that's going on in your head. So let's talk about some things that we can try to begin changing inside of, your cognitions, what you're thinking, to change kind of how you react. Because kind of what I did here is I did the event that led to it, then I did some of the emotions that were going through your head and your reaction. And if we change this column, in turn, it's going to change kind of the reaction. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to try to do. How it's kind of explained is whatever you put into your head is what's going to come out, and that's how you're going to react. So if you self-talk yourself into this is going to happen and this, then that's what you're going to put off into the outside, and that's how you're going to react. So let's begin to think about some of those things that we could change. So our self-talk needs to try to be a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more positive. What are some things that you could try to tell yourself when you are on the plane? What about how many times how many flights have you taken before?
Hundreds of flights.
Have you ever had a panic attack before?
Not on an airplane.
Okay.
Like I said, like it was probably when I was 10 or 11, having that feeling before, and it just kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. So,
you've obviously lived through those panic attacks because you're sitting here.
Yeah, that's true.
So you think that's maybe, look, I've had this before. I know what this feeling is. It's happened before. I've lived through it. This is not a heart attack. Kind of some of that reality checking. That may be something we could try.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Any other positive replacement thoughts that you can think about?
I think a lot of times I've had to tell myself, like, it's going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. We are safe. You're safer in a plane than you are in a car, kind of thing. Like, just kind of reaffirming that I'm going to be okay, and we're not going to crash. And I guess my biggest worry is I'm going to have another one. I think that's because if I have another one, it's possible that I might lose my job. So I think that's my biggest fear. And I haven't got back on a plane since that day because I've taken kind of a leave of absence or whatever for a few days to kind of recoup. So maybe just saying, that everything's going to be fine and that I'm going to get through it and I've done this before, and maybe that would be helpful.
Yeah, I do. I agree. Have you ever heard of like mindfulness or any mindfulness techniques at all? Ever heard of that concept before?
I've heard of that, and I've read some books and stuff, but I haven't actually like practiced anything like that.
Well, with some of the things that we're trying to do, some replacement thoughts and some affirmations and stuff, also a lot of times people find it helpful to work in some mindfulness, which simply means staying in the present. Not letting your mind go into that catastrophe of what if, which if I'm hearing you correctly, which correct me if I'm not, is that you really get trailed off into the future of I'm going to lose my job and I'm going to lose my house. And so what mindfulness tries to do is just kind of pull you back and keep you right there in that present. What is happening right now that I can control, and what are these feelings, and just kind of naming the feelings that you're having, not saying if it's positive or negative or if it's going to lead to a panic attack or not, just saying, okay, I can feel my chest tightening, and I know what that is, and I know that it's anxiety, and I know that it's not a heart attack. And, just kind of telling yourself that into your head and just really trying to stay in that moment. And that coupled with some thought replacements and stuff, I think are really going to start to benefit you. And it's going to be a process, but do you think that's something that you could try?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm willing to do whatever because like I said, I don't want to lose my employment, and it might even be helpful for me to start that thought process on my way to work, because I even start getting when I get up to get dressed in the morning, even now, it starts. So even maybe when I'm getting up in the morning, doing something mindfulness or whatever you said.
Or even a lot of people that I've worked with in the past that have dealt with anxiety, as simple as putting post-it notes around your house. Some positive post-it notes that, do you have, Gandhi or anybody that people have their little quotes and stuff that they're really fond of. Putting those around your house, just some peaceful, maybe even trying to play some peaceful music in the morning. And as soon as you can feel your thoughts going to that place that you don't want them, it's called thought stopping. You just cut them off right there and you replace it with something else. So say, you're saying, Anne, you're not going to be able to do this. You're going to have a panic attack even on the way to work. Say no. And just replace it with one of those positive things. And you're going to be able to do that a lot more with reminders of those positive things, with the post-it notes, with the music, with all this calming stuff around you.
Well, what happens if I get into the air and I start feeling that strong palpitating in my heart and I'm sweating? Like, what do you suggest that I do in that very moment?
Right. Well, if you get to that point to where you know that you're having a panic attack, what we have to remember is that it has happened before, and that it is not the end of the world if it does happen again. Because it might. I can't promise you that any of this is going to stop you from having a panic attack again. But what we can do is equip you with tools that can hopefully prevent it from happening ever again, if not a lot less. But I think you can definitely shorten the duration of it by bringing your heart rate back down. And so maybe some of those things is that same stuff, that thought stopping, that reminding yourself, okay, this is a panic attack. Okay, and instead of letting your mind go, oh my gosh, everybody's watching me, my boss is watching me, I'm getting rolled up, I'm going to get fired. Okay, this is a panic attack, and this is going to go away, and this is exactly what it is. And just that reality checking and that replacing with more positive thoughts, and that mindfulness of staying in that moment and understanding what it is, and not catastrophizing it into something that it's not. Panic attacks are very common. I understand, your job's on the line, and that's something that's very scary, but we have to keep it in the realm that it's in. It's a panic attack, and we have to remind ourselves that it's happened before. I'm going to live, I'm not going to die. Not everybody's watching you, I'm sure. It feels like it. But, not everybody's watching you. Your boss might not even know the next day, and just kind of doing that thought replacement. And I think mindfulness is really going to help you staying present in that moment and understanding what your body is telling you. If your body starts getting anxious, realize that and understand and know that that's happening, but that's all that is. It's just happening. You just knowing that that's happening and telling yourself that it is, and letting it stop there, not letting your mind go into a mode that's kind of catastrophizing everything.
Okay, I think I can try it. It's not going to be easy, I don't think, but
no, and it's a process. You're not be able to do this overnight and change everything. But I think doing little things each time, and beginning, maybe tonight you go home and you get on Pinterest or any of the things that you like and find some quotes that really give you strength and some peace, and maybe start the simple things as like post-it notes around the room. If you like bubble baths or anything that's really calming, and really listen to some of that talk that you tell yourself in your head, and make sure that you're feeding your mind with all that peaceful and stuff, because whatever you put into it, that's what's going to come out. So starting small and working your way up to that. Okay, you think you can do that before the next time we meet?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. It was
You're
very
welcome.
helpful.
And I'll see you next week, okay?
Right, thanks.